It's springtime here in Ireland, and our local art market and convention season is well underway. Artist alleys and markets across the island are about to be filled with talented artists and makers, and we want to help you join them. In this episode, we share our best tips and tricks for convention prep and ways to up your market game.
Hi, I'm Becky.
Agus Giadiv is Misha Aisha, and this is Graphite,
where we have honest chats about the ups, downs and everyday reality of being an artist in Ireland. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 6. Long overdue episode 6.
Yes.
I believe we just counted. It's been like 4 months since we've recorded an episode.
No.
So bear with us if we're a wee bit silly or something.
Yeah, we might be. It's been a wee while. We've been struggling with winter flu, cold and disability flare-ups. So
I mean, we've basically both had a cough for 4 months.
Yeah.
And you can't exactly film a podcast if you're coughing and spluttering every 5 seconds. So
absolutely.
Here we are.
Yeah, we want to be on our A game for you guys. So we're hoping that this will be us back on the horse. But yeah, we're getting back in the swing of it.
Yeah, we have a few exciting podcasts lined up for people who are less experienced in the market and convention scene, and even sort of in terms of marketing and branding yourself as an artist as a whole, really, never mind just attending markets. This one we're going to touch on getting ready for a con or a market, sort of an outline of each things to consider, and then we will also have some follow-up episodes that go more in depth into certain topics, and we'll let you know as we go through which ones you can expect to hear more about.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to kick it off with like what our experience is and why we feel like we can give you some advice on this situation, because you got to know where it's coming from. So
absolutely.
Aisha, would you like to begin with your experience on the matter?
Yeah. So I've been doing cons for quite a while now. I think 2019 would have been when we started. Would it have been?
Yes, I was
just
about
before
to have Felix, so yeah.
Yeah, just before the pandemic and stuff like that as well.
Did my first con when I was very round.
Yes.
And pregnant.
Yes. So we've been doing it a while now, but we have sort of different experience in regards to different types of cons and stuff, and different markets and that as well. So
you probably have more experience than I do, really, in the grand scheme of things.
I'd say I've done more of a variety of things.
I think though we have good experience coming from different kind of niches though, because you're very much like in the beginning you were very much fan art and stuff, whereas I've never really been a fan art person, so it's nice that we kind of can have these. Yeah. Sorry I interrupted you there.
No, you're fine, don't worry. And I think as well it's good that like you can always learn from things. Like I'm still learning. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hitting microphones. I'm not used to where they are.
Keep those hands down.
I know. I talk with my hands. But yeah, I think, like I'm still learning, and it's important to share information amongst peers and stuff. And that's why we want to get into this. So yeah, I've done like a variety of different markets, from very small university cons to big, like more corporate conventions and stuff like that as well. So I've got a bit more experience that wise, where I've not done so many smaller markets and little, like art markets specifically. It's been mostly conventions for me. What about yourself?
Okay, very similar, and we started our journey together at the same time. It's obviously been a bit different for me in and out of having babies and being pregnant and stuff like that. There was a rolling joke that I had to be pregnant every time I did QCon, but thankfully the last time I did QCon I was not. But yeah, not as many. You've done like MegaCon and that, and I haven't. And I think my work does suit like smaller markets anyway. Like I had quite good success at Decaf and stuff like that, and I think I definitely have accumulated a lot of knowledge that could be useful for people. So will we get into the nitty gritty and see? So there's some things that you should consider before you start.
Definitely. In regards to like even before you get down to putting your application form in, usually applications come out for most cons it's quite close to the event, but sometimes it can be several months before. So I would say that you need to consider how much time you actually have to prep. If you don't have any existing stock at all, if you're a new artist, then you need to set a lot of time aside to get that work done.
And in that scenario specifically, I would even begin prepping stuff without necessarily having a market booked, because everything takes longer than you think, and especially if you're not experienced in how long it takes for certain manufacturers to ship, like even Vistaprint, it can be kind of slow sometimes, and learning all these things so that you can plan ahead. And then for the next time, so like you'll do one, you'll have it all ahead of time, but then for the next one, I need 8 weeks to order everything and blah blah blah, so stuff like that.
It's important to consider the time of year as well, because a lot of the manufacturers are based in China and they'll close down for Lunar New Year and stuff, so it's important to take,
although in the beginning I don't know if you'd be getting so many things manufactured from somewhere far away, like if you like pins, it's usually pins and charms and stuff. The bigger ticket items
absolutely
that you have to invest a bit more money into, that I wouldn't personally worry about.
We'll get into this a wee bit later on in it, but it's something that I'm hoping that not just new artists will be able to get some information out of this, but maybe people that are in their first couple of cons. But that's something to take into consideration. You also need to think about how much energy you actually have. Like, a lot of people that are starting out at cons might be students or parents, or do you have time to set aside to dedicate to this event, or would you be better, as Becky said, just prepping stuff without a con to do, or a con in mind,
even maybe play around with an online shop somewhere, like, where whatever suits you. Etsy's a bit wobbly these days, but something like that, and playing around to see what's popular there too. Start thinking in a seller mindset rather than no,
I totally agree with you. There's lots of things you can do to sort of set yourself up for success when it comes to prep. But definitely setting the time aside and making sure that you're not going to stress yourself out, because burnout is a big killer when it comes to these things, and you don't want to stress yourself out before you even get to the event. I do that every time though, so
I know.
But I'd say try and avoid that as much as possible. I'd also say about money,
consider your budget.
What's
going to save you, because I think the first few, try and save as much money as possible. Can you print your own stuff? Have you already got a printer you could use? Do a bit of research, or ask people that maybe about different papers you can use, so that you're not wasting your money buying stuff that you don't like. That sort of stuff.
And even down to like the table cost itself. I would say that it would be best to start with smaller cons that are like a college con for new people, or something like that, rather than going for a big corporate event that's like maybe £100 to £250. Or sometimes they're more than that,
when you're not sure how well you're going to do it all, because you've never done it before.
Exactly, it's a lot of money.
Like the likes of QCon in Belfast is a great one, an introductory con, because it's accessible. It's like between 40. The ones when we started, it was like 35, but now it's I think this 50, year it's 55.
Oh yeah, 55 I think.
But still well under the £100, and you will make that back.
Some of the events as well do ones where it's not the whole weekend, like you would maybe only table on the Saturday or the Sunday,
like decaf or something like that.
I think decaf's just one day now as well. Is it? But the likes of, I think, Amicon, it was one where it was like you could table on the Saturday or the Sunday in some cases. But definitely look into these things and just see, like, can I afford to table a whole weekend? What's my budget? How much can I put away for this thing? Because you are going to need to pay a bit of money up front for your supplies and your table setup and stuff, so save as much money as possible. Another thing I would say is about travel, like how far away the con is, and whether you're going to need to pay for accommodation or not. So I would always suggest doing local con, or a market
Within
that's
an
close
hour,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, within an hour, or something that you could get a bus or drive to, that you're not going to be, forever away from, basically.
And then with the travel is obviously comes within your budget then as well, because
Exactly.
if you have a car, you need to park your car. If you're taking a train, you need your tickets and all that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I would always say to try and share accommodation or travel.
Or
if you
find a
can.
friend. I used to stay with Aisha in Belfast during Cúchon, even though I'm only an hour down the road. It still was so much handier to get up and at 10 to 9 and not have to be driving up and down both days. So if you know somewhere where you've friends that live, that's always a good place to maybe try as well.
Exactly, yeah. It means that you just have a little bit less stress. As Becky said, it's nice to be able to get up in the morning and get a bit of breakfast, before you go, rather than stressing about driving up a motorway or, going on a 4-hour bus journey before you even get to somewhere. So, try and get somewhere close for your first one, in my opinion anyway. Some people might argue with that, but I think that's for the best. You can also try splitting a table. Some cons will allow you, depending on space, to share a table with your friends. So,
if you don't have that much stock, for example,
yeah,
you also need to consider though then the table size at the event. Some tables are 6 foot, some are 4.
yeah,
The likes of a smaller event like Decaf, you only get 2 foot, so you wouldn't want to be sharing. Like the tables are already split
Yeah.
at events like that. So, all things to consider. You can also, if you're not sure about the events, if you think you would fit the event, or your stuff would fit the event, you can always go ahead like the year before, buy a ticket and attend the event.
Yeah.
Scope out the artist alley, and
I would definitely suggest that if you can. Like, a lot of the events are too far away, or maybe the tickets are outside of your budget. But
even if you can get like a comic event near you and a local art market near you, I'm sure the vibes would be similar.
Yeah.
At different events of a similar category,
Yeah, you can have a wee nosy around and see, like, that these people sell things that I would be interested in doing some work in, or I do fandom, like fan art from this, or I do original art that like kind of goes with the vibe of this event. Like, there's book events and that kind of thing that you can go to. So definitely try and attend. If you maybe the applications have already gone out for the year and you're thinking of maybe going and like trying to apply the next year, go to the event as just an attendee, and you'll get a wee idea of whether it would be suitable for you or not.
Or if you even want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. It could be, like some people get very overstimulated in big crowds and stuff like that, and you kind of need to take that into consideration as well, whether you will be comfortable at one of those events too. So definitely have a wee look and see what you feel before, try before you buy type vibes, so or like, as we were saying with this sharing a table, if you have an artist friend that is doing it, maybe they will let you have a couple of things at your table or at their table in exchange for you helping them out on the day. Like, that's a good way to try things out as well. So
or even say if an arty friend wants a hand, and you can really get a vibe then without actually having to spend any money or make anything. You
exactly,
just can be a buddy, a table buddy,
Our artists are always glad to have help at their tables.
Someone to run and get coffee or energy drinks as well. It's always good. And with that then you can sort of gauge the kind of fandoms that would be at each event, and get a feel for the stock that other people have and what's selling for them. And I'm sure, like, I know myself, people have asked me questions who are looking to do it ahead of time, and I'm so happy to answer like stuff that sells well. And like, a lot of people, you might be a bit afraid of asking, thinking that people might think you're rude or whatever, but a lot of people are happy enough to give information. And so
a thing as well to consider is like your relevance to the event. This is something that we're planning on doing a full episode on, but for example, there's a book event that we've explained previously, Belfast Books and Ball Gowns. If you don't sell things related to reading or to fantasy or books and things, you might not do well at that particular event.
For that specific event, I made bookmarks and I made stickers that were relevant. so that, you know, it's the draw, and then they'll look at your other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I like, for example, I did decaf years ago, and I had mostly fandom stuff at the time, and I only had a few bits of original work, and I didn't really sell particularly well. And, you know, that was my own problem for not really, you know, prepping for that particular event. So it's something to consider and look into. And, you know, you will find an event that works for you. You know, you just have to sort of do a wee bit of research. And as I said, we'll get more into that in another episode. But keep it in mind.
So, going on from there, so what sort of stuff, information, etc. do you need to apply to a convention or a market? And this is kind of a general list, so obviously everything's going to be slightly different. Some applications are like Google Forms, some are like very specific forms, some are just like, here, can I sign up, and here's the money, do you know, like less formal sort of carry on. So some of the things you need to think about or have ready, like a logo or some kind of branding, or even some people even use, I've seen, like a self-portrait or something like that, a photograph of a stall if you have previously attended somewhere. They might ask for your Instagram, an art account, or a portfolio.
Yeah, those are very important.
Or like your display name, so something they'll put on their website to list like that you're going to be there. Contact, so email address, might even ask for phone numbers, depends. You might want a short sentence or blurb about who you are, what you draw, what your work is, like a wee blurb, like a wee pitch. And also if you have any additional needs or like adjustments that need to be made, so a wheelchair, if you have a wheelchair, or you need to bring someone with you for reasons other than you need a helper, so say you do have an illness or something and you need support that way, just to help them to help you, basically. Anything to add there?
I always suggest having like a wee Google Doc or something ready with all of that information that you can just copy and paste into applications, because a lot of them are first come first serve, and you want to be as quick as possible off the mark where you can. So
like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know. So and really 30 seconds can be a make or break. Like, you know, Becky and I have both applied at the same time for cons and have literally been within seconds of each other, and unfortunately missed out on opportunities because of that. So sometimes it's fastest finger first, but you know, try not to stress about that. Just make sure you have your information ready to go before you do it. In regards to the portfolio, I'd say that's probably, or an art account, that's probably the most important thing out of all of those, because people who are on like convention or market panels will need to see your work to make sure that you fit in with what they're wanting to, you know, show off really at their event. So they want to make sure that you fit in with like the kind of stuff that they've got going on. So also
to ensure that you're like family friendly, depending on the event, that sort of thing.
You know, there is specific events that do more adult content, and I would suggest, if you have an art portfolio, to have two separate ones. Because I know that there has been some people who've been you know, not accepted for events because they have used like a general portfolio for all of these things. And as Becky said, you know, some events are family friendly ones, and they don't necessarily want to see NSFW work, you know, on there, because they might think, oh God,
they're going to bring that
to this, you know, and they don't want to take that risk, you know. So definitely try and get something like a card page. Those are usually free or pretty.
C-A-R-R-D.
Yes, C-A-R-R-D. Those are usually pretty cheap to set up. If I think they're mostly free, to be honest. But you can get a more tools, you know, and more personalization through their subscription, but something
then
like that.
You can't always just use Instagram and tailor it. I mean, you can't have anything not safe for work on Instagram anyway. So.
Exactly, yeah. You know, they just want to see that you have a range of stuff as well. Like, they don't want to, like, you can't just submit one or two pieces and get away.
And I tend to, before like applying for the likes of QCon, quickly go through my newest, the most recent Instagram stuff and like kind of update it a wee bit and add some more current stuff, because sometimes I just don't add anything to Instagram for ages, and then you'd be linking old stuff to them. So
I usually update I have a card and an Instagram, so I'll usually update my card and like have a specific section for just like my portfolio, and then links to my different social medias and stuff on there. And then, you know, teams can click into those if they need to and stuff. So there's lots of different things you can do. And, you know, as your peers in your community will also be able to help you out with that as well if there's something more specific to your local area. So that's just what works here in Ireland. So but yeah, there's lots of things that you can do just to get ready to go.
To be ready to apply.
Just make sure you're all done, and then you don't need to worry about it on the day.
And then if you get in, these are some other things to consider. So sort of your table, your branding, what you're going to display your products on, all that good stuff. And it takes a bit of time. Like if you're all by yourself and you're researching all this stuff, finding the wee tips and tricks and stuff can be kind of hard. And a lot of the stuff out there is all based more in America and stuff like that. So it's harder to get a hold of some of the things sometimes that they use and finding your own version of it. Yeah, so hopefully we can offer some insight here without you having to traipse all around the internet.
Absolutely, yes. In regards to your setup, so, you know, you want to sort of make yourself stand out. A lot of cons will have 30 to 40 artists at them, maybe more. Like QCon has a crazy amount of artists in a small room, and you know, if someone's going around, you want to make sure that your stall is memorable, you know, and stands out from the crowd. So and
you know, you've won whenever someone from the previous year or even like several years previous goes, I remember you, just from like looking at your booth.
Yes.
And it's always the best feeling when
exactly, you know, you've got your brand on lock when someone goes, oh, I've been looking for you, you know. So
I was hoping you would be here.
Exactly, it's so nice. So I would definitely suggest trying to make a brand for yourself in terms of a color scheme or something like that. A
vibe.
Yeah, just a vibe that fits your artwork. And like, say you work in a lot of specific colors, or you've got like a particular vibe, try and work around that and make your brand sort of match with that, because sometimes people can be doing real edgy work but have like a colourful pink thing. I kind of am crossing the line with those two personally.
I think you were trying to get away from the pink because there was a lot of pink going on, but you've done it in a way that's like and then there's people that make really edgy art and maybe it's more dark and twisty, so their colour schemes reflect that, like reds and blacks and stuff like that. And then I don't really know what you would call my branding. It's like
rainbow beautiful.
it's like I wanted to go for like cardboard, like doodles on cardboard kind of vibe, like very craftsy, but
you've got like, it's like nice neutrals and like warmth in your stuff, and then there's like a little pop of rainbow colours here and there.
For context, it's pinks and blues and oranges.
Yes, nice.
On white.
It's a nice spread of like warmth, and it really encapsulates Becky as a person in my mind. So you know, with
my work is very like not serious and nice to look at, and well, hopefully
no, it is,
you know, fantasy cutesy sort of stuff like that. And I think
you've nailed it down. So taking a bit of time to, you know, decide, right, okay, these are the colours I generally work with, what's going to complement my work and make it stand out. You don't want to sort of everything to blend in, but you want something, you don't want to make your work pop and be really eye-catching and stuff. So it doesn't have to be expensive either, you know, you have to work within your budget. So you could start with, you know, just going and getting some nice paper and cutting things out, and
foam board and stuff like that.
Foam board, you know, drawing it, painting it yourself.
Being mindful though of it being able to be flat packed somehow. Like I'm sure there's probably tutorials online that you can find that would help you build a foam board display that you can like slide apart and put in a suitcase.
Absolutely,
but then there's also a few things that are kind of industry standard, we'd say, like the mesh cubes, if you have never heard of these.
Yeah, so there's like they're usually
Cube
used
shelves.
for modular shelving. You can take them apart. They're flat panels. Some are grids, so those are good for if you're wanting to hang things up on hooks or, like clip things on. You can use the grid versions of them. I would generally suggest to go with the mesh or the plastic mesh ones because they're a bit more easily branded because they're usually in colours and you don't need to worry about
And
backing
now,
them.
like, even in the last couple of years, the amount of colours available,
Yeah, there's loads.
so
now.
much more. Like, when we first started, you could only get the wire ones.
Yeah.
And then you could only get white and black ones for a long time. And now there's blue ones and pink ones and yellow ones and
There's wood, like
all
wood
sorts.
pattern ones now.
Yeah.
There's loads of different ones you can get in varying budgets. There is companies that now specialize in that, and they do a lot of unusual colors, but they're very expensive. So
Yeah, so you just search like cube storage or modular cube shelf or something like that, and it should come up.
yeah, I'm gonna have we'll talk about this later on, but we'll link in a little helpful guide that I've made that just sort of has links to these things, and you can see what we're talking about in that. There'll be lots of examples of those. I'm sure if you've looked at any Artist Alley vlog or on Reels or anything like that on Instagram, you probably have seen these things. But basically they're just flat squares that you can clip together with wee connectors, and you can make it whatever way you want, so it can be however high or however wide you want it to be to fit the particular table that you're working with. And you can stick them on with a variety of different.
And what's really handy about them is they're a foot. Each grid is a foot, so whenever you're like, oh, it's a 4-foot table, so I've got 4 grid squares across, and you can use that to help you plan your display, which is so handy. Do you remember what your first like banner looked like on your first QCon table?
Yeah, I actually found it the other day. It's like I went and got one done on Vistaprint because I'd watched a lot of vlogs.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's what all the cool kids do, so I'm going to do that.
I actually did have a Vistaprint banner as well.
Yeah, and it was
At the time I wasn't Pretty Chaos Studios, I was at Becky Creates.
Yes. There's lots of different ways to do that. You can make those yourself with just a sewing machine, really. I've seen people do that, and with vinyl.
Especially if you're more like crafty too, you could even like be really cool and like quilt one or something, or
like Kinley, our good friend, a friend of the podcast.
her art's all like froggy themed.
Yeah, so she painted hers with fabric paint. There's
little
lots
lily
of
pads.
ones.
It was like blue, blue on blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
dark blue on a light blue tablecloth, and it was all little like shadows of lily pads nearly.
Yeah,
and it looks so different, but so like Kinley. It's perfect.
And that just really like nails down her brand and like sets her aside from everybody else, So it's something that you can do. You can spend as much money on it as you want, or you can spend very little. Just use things you've got in the house as well, So
yeah, and simple stuff like getting a specific tablecloth that is the vibe or the colour. Trying to use those more inexpensive ways of branding your table.
Yeah, exactly. You can, as I was saying, you can get custom ones made, but like I personally use a flat bed sheet as my tablecloth, a really big one, and then
Mine's
can
just white.
Fold it. Yeah, mine's black. Like, I just fold it in particular
I would love
ways.
to paint mine like the splodges on mine, but then I was like, oh, it takes away from the stock, so maybe I won't.
Yeah, you kind of want.
Plus, nobody can see your tablecloth really. In all honesty, once the place is full of people, there's legs in front of your tablecloth.
They're lucky if they're ironed, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think I've ever ironed mine actually.
No, but mine's one of those. It's like a made for hotels and stuff, so it like doesn't crease that easily and stuff like that. Yeah, it's handy.
Good. So there's loads of things you can do. As we were saying, you can even do this with cards and stuff, but you want to make sure that your brand name is visible somewhere on your table, whether that's like a sign above your head.
Eye height, sort of like make sure it's somewhere people can see it if there is people standing at your table.
Yeah.
Because I've had instances where people have recognised my brand from a previous year, gone away because the table was busy, and came back later on and be like, oh, I was going to come earlier but it was busy and I remembered talking to you before, so I came back, do you know? And it really pays to have that brand. And I mean, you've got as far as I'm aware, like there's not often height limits. Like you're not going to build it silly high anyway, so
Yeah.
you may as well get your branding up there.
Like I'm pretty tall, and my setup's usually 5 squares high, so that it's above my head, and like that's always fine. Like I've never
Yeah.
had one con give off.
Yeah, I
about
think
that.
mine's the same height as, maybe it's one shorter than yours.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I only
but
do
it's-
mine that high because I am nearly 6 foot.
Maybe it
So
is 5. Well, I like a wee square hole in mine, you see.
yeah,
Yeah, but these are all things you can mess around with, and I know, like,
Yeah.
I hem and haw and change mine
definitely.
around, and with that, like, it's having your wee windows great,
Yeah.
and having all of your private stuff
Behind
away.
the table,
Yeah.
I would say as well, to draw it out or do it if you don't have room to do, a test run. Test runs are always good. Do those if you can.
On the floor.
On the
or
floor in your
something.
room or on a table you have in the house that's maybe roughly the same size, just to make sure it all looks good. But I always draw mine out because I just don't have the space.
Oh, and you
to-
have like a gajillion like panels with
I count out
buttons
how
on them
many.
and everything. Whereas I do have a bit of space, and I can make up the 4 foot for QCon, for example. And usually I have it up and I'm messing around with it right until like a few days before I
Yeah.
pack it. And it's so handy actually to pack it all away from display, because then you pack your suitcase reverse of how you're going to unpack it.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and planning as well, like the behind the scenes area. So you might want an area to store items for prepping packs. So if you sell out of all of your button packs, for example, if you package them, you can be standing repacking all those and have a little system set up and plan that ahead. Or your little like money area that's out of reach of people to reduce
Theft, yeah.
likelihood of I mean, it's not often that somebody's going to reach over your booth and grab your money box, but if you can have somewhere where it's hidden and nobody knows where it is, then that's better than not. And even like stock storage.
Yeah.
So how are you going to store your stock behind your table?
Yeah, I got little this year. They're actually pop-up shoe stands, like shoe racks that you just basically, they're very light plastic and fabric, and they've been a lifesaver for under the table for my stock because I'm disabled. I can't bend over as often, so something I needed to consider of like, how can I get my stock quickly and safely.
And also you always have your partner with you, so
Yeah.
him understanding the system also is helpful
Yeah.
for you, so that you don't have to be faffing as much.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it much easier, for everyone involved. Or if like a friend, like if I was on my own and I needed to say to someone, could you mind my table? They would know where things are if they wanted to help out with sales or whatever, So it's definitely a good thing to take that, how you're going to have things behind the table as well as in front of the table. You also want to see how you can see if you can see all of your stock, just to avoid as much theft as possible.
Yes,
Um,
from where you're standing, like, can you have a good eye on your whole table?
Yeah.
Nobody can lean up against something and casually steal a key ring or whatever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there has been an uptick in sticky fingers at conventions and stuff these days, and it isn't very often, as Becky mentioned before, but it's just something that
Probably kids and that who can't really, they don't
Yeah.
really appreciate the time and effort's gone into it, or
exactly.
don't have any money left but they really want it or something like that.
Yeah, you
You'd
just
like
want
to
to
hope
protect.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's not nice when it happens. It can make you feel a bit icky. So, just protect yourself as much as possible, really, just make sure that you are aware that that's something that can happen, and keep a wee eye on your table. Don't be just looking down all the time, or like not keeping an eye on who's coming
Yeah.
up to the table.
Be on the ball.
Exactly.
And we will be going into more of an in-depth episode about branding
Yeah.
and table setups and all that good stuff in the next wee while, so
Yeah.
keep your eyes peeled on that. Do you like early access to episodes just like this one, as well as exclusive downloads and more? Consider subscribing to our Patreon.
Content tiers start from less than the price of a cup of coffee and go towards keeping Graphite and other collective projects running.
Visit patreon.com/emeraldiseartist to subscribe today. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to our scheduled programming. Another thing that we really went overboard with on our first QCon was stock.
Yeah.
And knowing how much is too much, and not getting yourself stuck with this backlog of old stuff that you never want to sell to anybody because it's like so out of date and you don't even like it anymore.
100%. I literally have only recently just thrown out stuff from the first ever con I did. I had like 1 million prints that.
Excuse me.
Oh, poor Becky. But yeah, I've had 1 million prints that were, you know, stuff that I'd done when I very first, like, I didn't even have a proper like pressure sensitive tablet at the time, and you know, it's just work that doesn't represent me right now. You know, I don't even work in the same fandoms as I did when I started, and like, it's so sad having to throw stuff out and waste all that money, you know, and time that you've done to, you know, print stuff out. So
not just that, like, I stupidly prepped everything, so I had all my prints in sleeves with business cards as well, so there's all those sleeves with irrelevant business cards.
Yeah.
And it's all stuff, when I was doing watercolors at the time and ink work, so it's not even remotely like the realm of what I'm at the minute.
No.
It's just such a waste
It
of
is, and
everything. Like,
it's so sad, you know, and like, I even have charms and stuff that like, I hate wasting plastic, and it's just all lying in a box in my office, you know. You don't want to take too much, and like, actually it's a good thing to sell out of things.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, you don't want to come home with the same amount of stuff that you left with. And honestly, like, I think I brought like 20 of each print for my first QCon, and now I prints aren't my main seller at all, but I'll bring less than 10 of, maybe I'll only have 4 or 5 prints, and I'll only bring a few. And sometimes I sell out of them. People take a liking for one of them, and like, personally, I do sell a decent amount of prints. You've got lots of fan art.
I do a lot of portraits of, you know, fan art stuff like that there, and I am sort of trying to move towards more original stuff, like in my work these days. But you know, in the past where I've sold prints, like, most of the time I don't take more than 10, especially because I have so many, or like, I work in fandoms that have, like, for example, Critical Role, like, there's 13 people in their current campaign. You know, I can't be taking like 10 or more of 13 different prints. Like, that's nuts, and that's a lot of money. So I would say for your first con, don't take any more than 5 to 10 of each print. If you think it's going to be a banger, or you have an online shop and it's been selling really well on there, then maybe take more of like 1 or 2 of your prints. But I wouldn't waste your time having lots and lots of stock.
Not like, prints aren't that much of a big seller.
No,
really,
not these days, because a lot of people don't have their own houses, and you know, they're students,
and you need
maybe
the wall space, and it's gonna be something they really, really love. They're gonna splash out for a print if it's something that is appealing to them in some way or another, whether it's fan art or whatever. But focus on those smaller ticket items like stickers, and people love a good waterproof vinyl sticker to stick on their iPad case or their laptop or their water bottle or whatever, or even just their sticker book.
Exactly. If
they're a sticker hoarder,
it's something as well. They're like small giftable things as well, you know, like, that's the sort of thing you would grab to give to a friend and that as well.
A bookmark.
And a lot of these events have younger people at them that maybe don't have a lot of pocket money, or you know, that kind of thing as well. So, or there's a lot of people as well, I've noticed, that like to buy from lots of artists, and they don't have a budget to buy a print from everybody, or you know, so it's,
they want to eat something.
You want a mix of things. I would say generally to focus on paper goods as much as possible
in the beginning.
In the beginning. Don't go for charms or like enamel pins or anything until you've had a good few cons under your belt.
Or something I did when I knew I couldn't afford charms or whatever in the beginning, is if you are crafty and you can sculpt. I made clay charms, and I made wee badges, and I made earrings and stuff like that. I love jewelry making and stuff.
Felting stuff as well. Like,
yes,
that was so
I
nice.
would have dabbled in needle felting, and I did needle felted brooches as well, and they all sold really well. I just did stuff that was popular at the time. You know, everyone like donuts and a wee frog and
kawaii things.
And it was wee things I could do when I had a spare 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, people love especially like one of a kind things as well. You know, like that's a lovely little thing that you
and
can
you know
grab.
what's so fun about those as well? Like even at the most recent, like QCon that we did, there was one that I had made way back the first time that I had made them, and finally someone bought it, and I was like, I have had that, no joke, for 5 years, and it was meant for you.
Yes, exactly.
And they're like, no way.
Those are the kind of things that people really go for, you know, because as we said, most people don't have a lot of money these days, and they want to spend stuff on things that they really, really love. So
or something a bit different,
you know,
or whatever.
try and find your niche, really, is what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to go too niche where it's something that like nobody's ever heard of, but I would say try and avoid doing the same stuff that everybody else is doing in terms of fandoms or whatever. If you like something and you go to a con, or you don't see anybody else in your community doing work from that particular fandom, it's not necessarily going to be that nobody's going to buy it, because a lot of the times, like I do different D&D and Magic the Gathering, and while a lot of people do D&D, very few people do Magic the Gathering stuff, and I've had several people be like so excited that I finally got something that suits them.
Or even your D&D stuff in itself is very unique, because you do those wee blind bags, like create your own character blind bags, which includes like a badge. Is it a dice?
There's a couple of different badges, a dice, and then like
race,
a special guest. A class and an alignment, and then so it's sort of like a character creator type thing. But you know, like you think of something that makes you happy, do work that makes you excited, because there's nothing worse than like pumping out work that you don't care about.
Someone else will find it exciting too.
Exactly. If you're passionate about it, people will feel that at the table, and they'll be excited to see your work. You know?
And then you'll have great conversations with people, and they'll be able to see your enjoyment and your passion for it. Whereas if you try and draw something from a fandom that, while you maybe know of it or have watched a bit of it, you're not super into it.
Yeah.
Like they'll immediately know.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Pokemon's super popular, but I don't play Pokemon. So like I've played it when I was a kid, but I don't play Pokemon now. So why would I do work from that, even though I know I could make money from that? It's silly, you know, to do work like that you're not happy about. Exactly. And it's not even about selling out. It's just about like being passionate about it. People can tell when you're faking it, you know. So when you find your niche, you will find the people that will come back to you over and over again, because it is those customers that are like, oh yeah, that's the girl who does My Chemical Romance. Oh, that's one too. Magic the Gathering stuff. So I'm going to go back to her, because I know she had Magic last year, and that's something that I'm interested in.
Got now? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, you'll get there. Just make sure it's something you want to do, not what you think everybody else wants you to do. So,
and as for how to find your niche, well, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, you know,
I'm still figuring out myself a little bit, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it changes all the time. Like I started out with K-pop because that was something I'm super passionate about.
I remember people being super excited about finding such...
Yeah, because at the time there wasn't anything like that, you know. And while I still love K-pop, and I'm a massive BTS fan, and they've just got their new album out, I am somebody who I spend a lot more of my time thinking about D&D and fantasy stuff. So that's my niche, you know. I really work in that area. You know, you've got a lot of your original work on your table, and you kind of work in a similar vibe as well, you know. And it's nice to sort of, we usually sit beside each other when we do cons together, so we kind of bounce off each other and like gather people in.
We check in and be like, how much money have you made today?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you will find your niche, and that could be something that we might look into in the future for another episode, but we've got lots more information to share with you, so we'll get on with that.
Yep. So obviously pricing's a big thing. Figuring out the market that you're entering, sort of not lowballing like your peers as well. Like, we're all in this together, and if there's one person over there selling a print for £2 and everyone else is selling their print for £6 or whatever, like, you know, why are you doing yourself a disservice putting your prints lower just because you don't feel like you're experienced enough or that your art is good enough or whatever? And it's like, if that's the going rate, then go for it.
Yeah.
You still have the price of materials to consider,
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff.
And your
And
time.
so don't think that just because you're less experienced or you don't view your work as highly as the people around you, that you deserve any less money.
Absolutely. You know, there's nothing worse than lowballing, you know, yourself and other artists around you, because it kind of, and not to be mean about it, but it does give you a bad name. Like, people will be like, you know, why are you trying to undercut me? And you might not be necessarily trying to do anything by doing that. It might be just the price that you've thought of,
Or even
but
just like a inexperienced thing,
Yeah.
like you don't know any better maybe.
Yeah.
You've had nobody to tell you these things, 'cause
Exactly.
a lot of the time you do just have to figure it out on your own.
But even customers don't really like vibe well with that, because sometimes they'll think, well, why is that so much cheaper than everybody else's, you know? So what we would suggest generally is to have a look at the pricing that other people around you are selling things for locally.
Or on Etsy,
Yeah, Etsy is a big
similar
one.
products on Etsy. Maybe even
Yeah.
if you are concerned about your skill level or whatever, look for similar people online who are charging for their work, and if that helps you feel more comfortable charging a bit more, then, you know, do a bit of research that way.
Yeah. You can
Um,
also, you know, there's lots of different artist groups like our own. We have our own collective Discord, and we, you know, have a lot of artists in our group that will ask, is this price okay? You know, getting your peers help with that is not a bad thing. You know, you should always feel comfortable to ask people in a polite manner. You know, you don't want to just walk up to someone and say, how much are you charging for that? You
Yeah.
know, you can ask for advice in a nice way.
But
you
again,
know?
that could go with scoping out. Do you know, like we said before, going to the event and
Yeah.
just making mental notes of, oh, right, okay, this is that price and this is that price, right, okay. And generally, like, prices don't shift that much year to year. Maybe like 50p here or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially with things being more expensive these days, you know.
yeah, so just you can get an idea of pricing by going and being a attendee yourself and scoping out that way. And then like within all that, be mindful of your price, like being on the pound or on the euro or whatever.
Yeah.
To avoid having so much extra change
And doing
yourself.
maths.
Yeah.
None of us are good at maths, like, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to be dealing with like 5p's and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
like £2.50, £3, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
also multi-buy offers.
Yes, those are the best things
Deals.
ever. Customers love deals. I love deals.
And sometimes they'll be like, oh, well, I've already picked up these 2 stickers I want, so I'll just pick up another one. And instead of it being like £8, it's another £2 to get
Yeah.
a third sticker. And that's great for us because we're shifting stock. We're still making profit on that £2 sticker. And win-win all round, you know.
If you've ever worked in retail, like Becky and I both worked, you know, selling things over the phone with people, you know, so it's something where you learn to upsell. And upselling can be really
Psychology.
simple. Yes, the psychology of buying things is a
When-
customer would rather spend £10 than spend £8 because they don't want to carry around £2 change in their pocket.
Yeah.
You know, I hate having change personally, so I would rather just go, just take the tenner, you know what I mean, and I'll get something extra for my money, you know, and the money's spent because it's out of my bank account. So you know.
Yeah. Yep, I have taken that money out of the hole in the wall and now it's gone.
But multi-buy offers are a good way to shift stock that, you know, might not necessarily sell in individuals. So, as Becky said, people might buy the extra one. You can mix and match with different items. It doesn't have to be all the same
Yes,
deal.
like I had items that are in a similar price bracket. Like,
Yeah.
don't be selling yourself short. So I had my clay charms, my brooches and that sort of thing in a deal with, you could get a key ring and a clay charm, like my acrylic key rings. In a deal 2 for 15, I think it was. So stuff like that, so people are more inclined to buy a variety of stock as
Yeah.
well. I did bookmarks and notepads in a little bundle as well.
Yeah, I do badges and stickers on mine and like
Similar, like
small things.
a bookmark and a notepad, I feel like would, you know, appeal to the same kind of person
Yeah.
as like the way a sticker and a
Badge.
a badge would. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so these are things that like you have to think about. What would I buy? with this item, or how could I make this a bit better of like a present for somebody even,
Yeah.
or you know, stuff like
bundle.
that. You know, you can sort of bundle it up in your head and see how it goes, but definitely multi-buy offers are a good way of making that extra couple of pound that you know, where you might have missed out on previously. And customers are always really happy to hear that there's like
An
a
offer.
offer, yeah, you know.
Sometimes though, when you do have those multiple different kinds of items within your offer, you do have to be prepared to say it to people and to explain it,
Yeah.
because I had to, even to just try and upsell a wee bit, you know, in a non-pushy way, just be like, oh, by the way, just in case it's not clear from the signage, you can get these things as well in the offer. And I had lots of people going, oh, that's great, yeah, and then actually taking me up on the offer. They didn't realise, you know.
Exactly. And speaking of clear pricing, you know, that's always a good thing to do, is to make sure you have your prices on your stuff in a clear font or clear way that people are easy, or it's easy for people to read, you know, whether that's a price list or prices on individual items. I always have mine be like Velcro removable, so if I want to change them halfway through the market, I can do that.
I usually have like a set price, and then I will have extra little blank price tags made up with my branding that I can just scribble on with a marker. You know, like even if there's certain things aren't shifting and you maybe want to get rid of some stuff before the weekend's over, and doing like an on the fly deal or something, or having as well the price in multiple places.
Yeah.
So like the top of the panel and the bottom of the panel, because people sometimes be blind and they can't see. So you just have to,
like
put it everywhere.
You need to remember that.
£12.
Exactly. You need to remember that
How
some
much is
people are in, you know, wheelchairs and maybe can't see
Yes,
up high. I also always have a small catalogue that I can hand to people that maybe are visually impaired, that they can see up close, or they can, you know, use a magnifying glass if they do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just multiple different ways of making it accessible to people, even if you've got a queue, you know, like if there's people at your table and there's people beside them that they can't quite see past other people, you can hand them the book or the list.
Something I've just thought of, sometimes people will just ask you regardless, make sure you have a price list on your side of the wall.
Yes, I do that too.
Because I forgot this the last time, and then I was like looking like a twit because I didn't know my own offers, and because you do change them for every sort of run of markets you do, and so it'll not be the same as last time.
Exactly. And especially in Ireland, where we have two different currencies on the island, like I can't work out my euro prices compared to my sterling prices off the fly because I'm really bad at maths. So I usually have a list behind the table, just like blue tacked to.
So you can sound like a genius who knows all your prices.
I'm like, yes, I am a savvy businesswoman. So you know, you have to do that. That's a great idea, actually. Yeah. Give yourself a list too.
Make sure you have your price list listed somewhere.
Yeah, we will do. We're going to go a bit more in depth into pricing again in another future episode about pricing products, but also pricing things like commissions and stuff, and just making sure that you know your worth. So we'll get more into that in the future.
So what we're going to do now is sort of break down a wee survival kit. So stuff you should bring with you to help you get off on the best foot and to have just to feel like you're prepared. And I'll just fire through the list quite quickly. Now these days a card reader is pretty much a must.
Yes, I would agree.
You will miss sales most likely if you do not have one. They're pretty accessible now. You can get one from SumUp's probably the most affordable.
Yeah, I would say that's the one most people use these days.
And they're really handy. Obviously, you just need to remember that it's charged, or I haven't ever needed to charge it at a market. I would just take it home maybe on the Saturday night and it'll be fine for the Sunday. So yeah, card reader and your cash, obviously. For me personally, £100 in or euro in the float suits. Try and get as many pound coins as you can. I generally get about 40.
For those who don't know what a float is, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's a bit of money that you have before the event starts.
Your till money.
Yeah, if you think of what money's in a till, so you'll have some change there, and then you'll also have broken down notes, so like 5, 10, 20.
I generally
whatever.
go for as many pound coins as you can. The
Yeah.
post office can be kind of stingy sometimes and not want to give you more than £20, so
Yeah.
you might have to go to multiple post offices. And then as many fivers as you can, and then
Yeah.
maybe a couple of tenors.
Tens and then 120 I usually have.
I have never been given anything bigger than a 20, so I haven't needed a 20. I'm
I
so lucky I haven't got a
seem
50.
I seem to attract the £50
I
note
think
havers.
so. When you're in Euro, though, you're more likely to get a 50, aren't you?
Yeah, the bank machines
So,
seem to
yeah.
give out more 50s.
Okay, so money, cash, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you want a cash
Um,
box as well.
Yes, like a lockable,
Lockable.
cash box that you can take with you easily, basically.
Don't leave that at the event.
No, you take that with you
Everywhere.
overnight. Yes. And then a box or a pencil case. I like to use a Stima. Is it Sistema?
Sistema, yeah.
Sistema clip side, like a sort of an A5 kind of size box, and it's clear and I can see what's in it. And normally I have blue tack or zip ties, Velcro, sellotape, all the adhesive necessities, scissors, markers. I like to bring Sharpies in my brand colours for scribbling signs very quickly. If you have business cards, that's a handy place to keep them in your wee box. Extra card or paper for be right back signs, go onto the toilet signs, that sort of thing. Extra grid connectors
Oh yes, because those can sometimes
in case
break.
they ping off or disappear or whatever. Maybe bulldog clips for clipping signage up.
I use that for separating my money into the different notes, and it makes it much easier rather than rifling through like a million.
Good idea. I would use the bulldog clips for like clipping up my my banner and stuff, because I've tried tape and all and everything ends up failing, and at the end of the con I've just like bulldog clipped it up. Paracetamol, very important, or ibuprofen, whatever your preferred painkiller is. Or mints if you're like eating something oniony or something and then you're talking to people. Hand sanitizer,
Yes.
a big thing. You don't want to get con flu. Maybe like a wee first aid kit situation, like plasters or whatever. Your power bank.
Yeah, for your you need a phone or like iPad or whatever for your money, for your card machine. I mean, sorry.
Yep. Loop earplugs maybe if you've got sensory issues and you need just a bit of chill. A fan if it's hot, and then obviously a separate. You wouldn't put this in your wee box or your pencil case, but you know, like water and easily eatable snacks.
Yeah.
One
mouthful snacks are always good, because inevitably when you take a bite out of a sandwich, a customer will come to your table and you will be choking.
Maybe trying
to
like
them.
some protein bars or something if you need a bit more sustenance. But yes, if you're trying to eat a sandwich, that's the secret to get some customers to come. It's like, I'm going to eat my lunch now because it's quiet.
Yeah, I have had several occasions where I've had a bite of a sandwich and immediately someone's standing at my table and I'm like trying to choke it down.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have stuff that you can throw in your mouth, like I would say to avoid nuts in case of allergies, but things like sweeties or a packet of crisps or something that you can just pop
Also,
one in.
generally, like, have a plan of how you're going to eat throughout the day.
Yeah.
So bring a packed lunch, or make sure you know you have somebody who can do a wee lunch run for you or something like that. Like, have that set in stone, probably like before you even get there.
Yeah.
Like, have a wee plan, because you have to eat.
Yeah.
You don't want to faint or anything like that.
Yeah. Sometimes people will do group orders for stuff. So if you make an effort to, you know, talk to people around you, or if you know people at the con, you could maybe get stuff delivered. I've done that before. It's nice, you know, so depending on where the con is, there'll be options around you that will be able to deliver things, and then you can get a proper meal rather than sitting there for several hours without anything. So you need to keep yourself energized, so even things like electrolytes and stuff are nice to take with you. So
Yeah, and we have a few other tips just for the general day-to-day of surviving a con, or like tips on selling, stuff like that. Kind of look busy.
yeah.
Don't be staring at people.
Yeah.
Let them have a wee browse and a hoke. You know yourself, you love to just like sort of touch things and experience things, or just have a wee minute to yourself to think. And if somebody's staring at you, you're going to walk away.
Yeah. Usually I'll say hello and then just get on with what I'm doing. You know, some people don't like that as well, but
You
a
can
lot
tell
of
who
people,
wants to say hello and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And to give them a wee nod or something, and then faff away with something. I like to bring things to package up so that I look like I'm busy, and
Yeah.
Also, like, it does help with the boredom if you're standing there and it's a bit slow.
Yeah.
So yeah, pack your buttons or your stickers or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't look like you're standing there disinterested and on your phone.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you will be scrolling on your phone if it's quiet, but, just don't make it obvious.
Yeah, with the not being on your phone, you could take that time to, get things ready for, like, if you have, I personally make my buttons at the con.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got popular ones, I'll just punch a load of those up, or I won't, but my
Yes.
partner will punch a load of things up, while we're waiting, and just make sure that you're using your time wisely, basically. Because sometimes it'll be really busy for an hour or two, and then it'll be dead while, say, the cosplay masquerade is on or whatever.
Yeah, take a wee minute to restock.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or socialise.
Yeah, socialising is super important. There's nothing worse than going to a con and the person beside you doesn't even look at you the whole weekend. So
I know, it's like, what did I do? Like,
what have I done to offend this person? And like, I've come away from cons really sad because I'm like, I've tried to say hi or whatever, and maybe that person's just a wee bit shy or something. So
they just don't like you.
They don't like me. But I think the best thing you can do is just say hi, introduce yourself. Because even if you are in, like, for example, in our own community, I don't know everybody by their face. I know them by their username or their...
Usually you're like, oh, that's such and such. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm so bad.
Yeah.
Because I have not met someone in person before. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. So I would always say introduce yourself with your name and also your artist name, because people might recognize you more from that. So if you come up to somebody's table, don't just say, hi, I'm Jane. Say, hi, I'm Jane from such and such artist. Or, like, for me, it'd be, I'm Aisha from Aisha Doodles, so, or Doodle Mart, so lots of people will know you from your business name more likely, or like your artist name, than your actual name. So try and make friends. It's always good to have friends, and then that might help you later on with, like, sharing accommodation if you make friends, or sharing a table,
or planning to be beside each other next time if you got along and stuff like that.
Some cons will be more than happy to let you sit beside your friends, just depends on their sort of layout and stuff like that. So the more friends you can make at events, the better, because then you're not lonely and you've got something to do when it is quiet,
Yeah. And then we reached out on our Discord to the community to see what things people would give, like, advice to newbies or someone who's not so experienced. And so fire away there, Aisha. Here's some lovely suggestions from the community.
So the first one is, if you've got a lot of stock, to get a wagon. So these are, like, you can use them on the beach, or people use them in their garden. I got one recently and it's been a lifesaver. I find it much easier to handle.
You have a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, and because I am disabled, they're a wee bit more built for carrying really heavy stuff around, rather than a lot of people use suitcases. So
suitcases get heavy quick.
Those wagons have great turning on them and stuff, and they're more,
and you can also, you put your crates just in, like, full of stock,
all ready to go, and they're good size.
Flat packing needed.
Exactly. So if you have more bulky items, they're really good for that as well. You can usually get them on Amazon, or like B&Q and stuff sometimes has them. I even seen them in Lidl recently, and you can get them for really good prices. Just keep an eye out on the sales. Checklists are also a lifesaver. You can use them for going through all your stock, or you can use them for even just for the setup stuff. I would say just to write everything down a couple of days before you go, to make sure you have everything, and go through and tick everything off, and then keep that checklist for the next time.
Also, with that, labeling everything in your suitcase.
Yes.
Like, even if they're in cardboard boxes, just write on the box.
Yeah,
these are my key rings. These
little
are
Ziploc bags and stuff. It's always handy.
Yep.
You can also, we mentioned previously about getting things printed, but you could, if it's your first ever con and you're not sure if you're ever going to do another one and you just want to try it out, you could DIY your signage rather than buying it to begin with. Sometimes you'll see online where, like in America, they have those big pop-up stands, and those are really only for corporate events, I would say. If you
don't really have space either.
Yeah, you don't. And a lot of cons, you'll maybe have like less than a meter of space,
You'd be very cozy with the person beside you.
Exactly. And you don't want to be like putting up a pop-up sign and then blocking off for fire reasons, but also like you're a fellow artist can't get out to go to the loo or whatever, you know. So don't bother with pop-up signs. Go with something that's easily foldable, like a banner or
Piece of
something
photo paper
fabricy
that you've printed with
Yes.
foam board, that sort of thing.
Exactly, something that can be packed flat. Some of our members suggested, instead of the money box or the lock box, to get a bum bag or a fanny pack for your money. If you'd rather have the money on you at all times, that's a good idea.
Or if you're moving around a lot.
Yeah, if you're moving around a lot, or like even if it's something that's outside and you don't necessarily have a wall behind you, you kind of want to protect your money better. I've also seen people getting like wee chains for their lock boxes. If they've got like a grid cube, they can lock them onto that. But that's always a good thing to have. Someone also mentioned about emptying your cash box or bum bag of larger notes, so just in case of
Throughout the day.
theft. Yeah.
So in case someone snatches your box, you've still got, not that has happened, I've never heard of that happening.
Not here
No.
anyway. I've heard it happening in bigger cons, the likes of Dokumi and stuff, where money has gone missing. But you know, you never know. Somebody
Yeah.
could just walk in and decide that's the day they're gonna decide to rob you, and it would be very sad if
Good to
someone
be
done that to
mindful.
artists. But you know, you never know these days, and so it's better to be safer than to be sorry. So, definitely try and take out the sort of bulk of notes where you don't necessarily need that in your bag. Even between days, I would suggest to do
Oh
that
yeah,
as well.
I reset my float
Yeah,
the day.
go
Yeah.
back to, you know, your 100 or whatever you've
There's
started
no point
with.
in bringing like £400 back with you or whatever, because
No.
that's silly.
Yeah, you know, and also, you know, make sure you've got spending money as well. That's a
Yes.
good idea. You want to be able to spend at other artists' tables, although we always end up
Art trading.
trying to do trades and stuff because we're all passing the same £20 note around the
Yeah.
artist alley. So maybe talking with your friends and trying to get a trade on the go. It might not always work, but you know, you have to be aware that people might not be comfortable with that as well. But if you've got a friend, maybe try and do that rather than spending money. You can use accordion folders for storage for your prints. Something that I personally use for my stickers and badge parts is coin wallets. So like for collecting coins, they've got wee things that go into a file, and they've got little squares that you can put them into, and it keeps them flat, you know.
And you can just browse like
Yeah, like
so
a magazine.
easily.
It's so handy, and you can put them in alphabetical order. But, you know, try and make things easy for yourself by having specific folders and stuff that you know your prints are in or your stickers are in or whatever as well, and have them labelled. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh yes, consider the venue. So some of the venues are freezing cold. Some of them are very, very warm. So dress accordingly. Try and do some research or ask around what it's like, or if you've been there as an attendee, you'll know.
like if you're in a big warehouse type place, like
Yeah.
big convention hall, then it's going to be more cold.
So maybe take a jacket or a wee blanket to put
yeah.
over your lap.
Yeah, or a fan.
Yes, or a fan. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, for hotter or summer conventions, try maybe dressing in thinner layers that you can take off or put back on. That it's very important, because you don't want to faint or like be too cold and not be comfortable, you know. So make sure you dress well. And bring a cushion, please bring a cushion for your bum. You'll save yourself a lot of pain and discomfort. That's something that has changed my life recently, because there's nothing worse than sitting on an uncomfortable fold out chair for 8 hours and
Yeah.
being sore. So another thing that one of our members has mentioned is, if you need to go to the toilet, just go. Obviously you want to make sure that you're taking any money
your
with you.
money,
Yeah.
or leave your money box with a trusted person.
Yes, exactly. Lock it up and leave it with somebody that, you know, a friend or whatever. Or if you've got a table mate or someone with you, you know, a helper, they can look after it, obviously. Or just ask a friend who, you know, if they've maybe got a helper, could they spare them for a few minutes to look after your table while you go to the toilet or get a drink or whatever you need to do. But definitely take breaks when you can, because there's no point in making yourself sick. Let's see, charging devices. So you want to make sure your cash machine is charged, or your card machine is charged, your phones are charged, if you've got,
iPad.
yes, iPad, if you take that with you, is charged. Any lighting, you want to make sure that those are ready to go. We would always suggest taking
Charge your
battery pack, make sure
charge
it's
your power
charged.
pack. Yeah.
Yeah, put that on a couple of days before you go and make sure it's ready to go,
Put it in
because
that survival kit.
yes, and stick it in there and just make sure it's there.
Although, like, if you know people, there's always going to be someone who's going to be like, yeah, here, use mine.
Borrow with this. Also, bring the cables
Yes.
that you need, because there's nothing worse than, oh, I've only got an iPhone charger, or
At least
you
now,
know.
though, most cables are all USB-C,
Exactly,
so it's not so bad.
Exactly. And consider what order that you're going to pack your suitcase in. So, as Becky mentioned earlier, a
Stock
test run can
last.
help. Yes. Put your
Grids first.
Yes. I usually have those in separate bags so that I don't even need to worry about that, because I don't take a suitcase and I have a car. But if you've only got one suitcase with you, make sure it's in an order that makes sense for how you're going to take things out, and that you're not going to wreck yourself basically lifting heavy things and that as well. So during a slow market, you can take the time to socialize with people around you and maybe collab on some stuff, or
Some whoever suggested that said about even like making TikToks together or whatever, if you're on, you know, TikTok to make, or like reels or whatever.
yeah,
Take some time to like just have a bit of fun and
Have a bit of crack,
make some
yeah.
arty reels and
yeah, or you know, you could even use that time to think up ideas for your next one, or like reflect on the event that you're doing, and you know, see what you want to change maybe in the future. And then
the last one was
if
if you want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Try it.
exactly right, really all you can lose is a wee bit of money.
50
You
quid.
know, if you've done what we've suggested and gone for something that's not like one of the big high budget cons, then really you're not going to lose more than, you know, the entrance fee, and a bit of money that you've used for prepping. But you know, you might find that it's not for you, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's all part of the learning experience. But you might find that it's really fulfilling for you, and that's most likely what's going to happen, is that you'll really enjoy it, and you'll find, you know, friends through it, and a bit more passion for your work, and you might be inspired. So go for
There's
it.
nothing like seeing someone looking at your work and then thinking it's great, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
they like me.
Oh my God.
Wow, they like my work.
It's not just me in my bedroom that likes this.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's like, it really puts into perspective, you know, when people say, oh, only 20 people liked my picture on Instagram, but when those 20 people are real people in front of you going, wow, I love this, oh my God, and they've got like big sparkly eyes looking
Yeah.
at your pins or whatever, and you're like, wow, look,
Yeah.
look, I don't care if 20 people like my picture, you one person think I'm great.
Exactly, you know. And if you think about it, I've seen people saying, like, if you imagine all of those people in a room with you, just, you know, that's a lot of people. And it really does, like, the first time I ever did a convention, I was like, oh, I don't know what to expect. Like, I never really had many people sort of look at my work in that way. I'd never like exhibited or anything before, and I didn't finish college, so I didn't really have the like critique vibes of things or whatever. So it was the first time people were really giving me feedback on my work, and I was so shocked at how nice everybody was. Like, it's a very rare day that you will get somebody being horrible, but if you do, that's only one person. Their opinion doesn't matter at the end
And
of the
generally
day.
they're not very openly horrible, they just kind of look at your stall and go, oh, what's this, and then
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah, like I have had people say, you know, one or two mean things over the many years that we've been doing this at this stage, and it's not nice in the moment, but really it's actually quite funny afterwards.
Generally you just lean to your person next to you and go, here,
Here, what do you
where do
hear?
you hear this here?
The cheek of them, you know. So,
A bit of gossip for the day.
and everyone, if you speak to artists around you, everyone has stories like that, but that doesn't take away from, you know, the achievement that you've made in actually putting yourself out there, and it's more than that person has done. So, you know,
Exactly. They're
don't-
just jealous.
Exactly. Don't worry about what other people think. Just do it for you rather than for everybody else, or what you think people want you to do.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely note to just end on.
Absolutely.
If you want to do it, do it.
Yes, that's a motto that should be carried through life in many ways.
Exactly. So. And so as we've said, we'll touch on some of these subjects in more depth in future episodes.
Yep.
But I think that's everything we want to say for now.
Yes, I will also include below a little website that we've made that has some tips and tricks listed on it. We will also include a checklist of what we would generally bring to a market as a little
survival kit
cheat
list.
guide for you to print off and use yourself. Those will be included in the description box. But thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully we will be back way more soon than 4 months.
Yes, we'll...
we definitely will be.
Yes. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a lovely time.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Graphite is brought to you by the Emerald Isle Artist Collective. This podcast is about people like you. Folks making art, telling stories and figuring it out with gra and grit.
Share the episode, leave a review, and if you want to share your thoughts or your work, give us a shout at info@emeraldisleartist.org.
Thanks for listening to Graphite. Goodbye for now.